and welcome to the Never Heard of It podcast. I'm Craig Moorhead, and I'm joined, as always, and for the first time, and possibly the last time, by my cohort and co-pilot,
Shawn Terrified Harwell. What is there a reason why this might be my last time?
Oh no, don't disregard that.
Because we're talking about vampires. In this episode,
fine.
I'm a little concerned.
No. Don't be silly.
Okay, well, if you say don't be silly, then I won't be silly. All right, it's all good. Craig, how are you?
I'm doing all right, Shawn. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm super excited because we're talking more 1985 today, and we're going to tee up two movies that I am genuinely ecstatic to see again, because it's been quite a long time for me with these two movies, and we're switching genres. We're going to dip our toes into the horror comedy world of Fright Night and Once Bitten. How long has it been since you've seen either one of these, Greg?
It hasn't been very long since I saw Fright Night, because I watched that with my wife, showed it to her, I think, for the first time.
Oh, cool.
Maybe last year or 2 years ago? So not too long, but Once Bitten I haven't seen since I was a kid. And I remember even then it was sort of a crazy find, because I didn't know it even existed. What about you, Shawn?
It's been decades, probably.
Yeah.
Too many decades. Probably even possibly since the 80s. I don't know. But maybe not with Fright Night, but definitely Once Bitten. I think it's going to be fun to get back into these two. And I'm going to be really optimistic and say that both of them are going to hold up in their own unique way and be quite enjoyable to watch. I'm just saying that right now.
You might just be right. I'll agree with that. I'll go along with you.
I think that would kind of be the trend, man, because so far I feel like we're doing pretty well here. If you haven't listened to the last episode, yeah, you definitely got to check that out. It's a long one, but it's worth the journey. We go really deep into Schwarzenegger Land with Commando, and then back again in Chuck Norrisville with Invasion USA. Both of those are pretty easy to find, and I think that episode's a lot of fun, Craig.
Oh, yeah.
And you know where to find us on the web at this point. Basically, just look for neverheardpodcast.com, and that'll take you everywhere else you need to go. So, what do you say we start with Mr. Jim Carrey and go Once Bitten?
Let's bite it.
That's very nice. Did they do that over at the shopping mall?
This movie, Once Bitten, was directed by Howard Storm, which I like that name. I think that's a fun one to say. Howard Storm. Yeah. He is a very notable TV director. He did a bunch of Mork and Mindy. Everybody loves Raymond, Head of the Class, Laverne and Shirley. Really nice looking resume as a TV director. Not a ton of movies. Interesting little note about this guy, Craig. He played himself, apparently, in the movie Broadway Danny Rose by none other than Woody Allen. So now I kind of want to go see that and figure out what the hell that was about. Story by Dimitri Villard, who mostly a producer, Flight of the Navigator, another big 80s movie there. Written by David Hines and Jeffrey House, who were a team, it appears, and not a ton of credits, but then there was a draft done, or at least a polish, by Jonathan Roberts, who is noted for writing The Lion King and James and the Giant Peach, a couple other Disney things, and also The Sure Thing from 1985, which we may check out. On the acting side, you got Lauren Hutton from American Gigolo, Jim Carrey, of course. I think prior to this, had been in a couple movies, but not as a lead. This was his first leading role on film. He was on a show called The Duck Factory for one season on NBC, which, God, do you know anything about that show?
I don't remember that at all.
I don't either, but he plays an animator, and I'm like really kind of interested in checking it out. I think he animates like a duck cartoon of some kind. It looks like it was only air for that 1 year, but yeah, he was in the lead in that. And then obviously Peggy Sue got married. If you've seen the Coppola flick, pretty prominent role in that after Once Bitten. Also have Karen Copkins, who I think she was one of the leads on the TV series Dallas. And then Clavon Little, man, Blazing Saddles himself. Love that guy. Excited to see him in this. I didn't remember or realize that he was in this in a major role. Also Thomas Ballatore, Jeb Stuart Adams, who interestingly is credited as one of Troy's friends in Goonies. Troy, that guy, remember him?
Maybe one of the guys standing around the well.
Yeah, he's Troy's friend number one. That's his official credit.
Man, what a
but he was also in
tough role to get into.
not the best one, but he was also in Flowers in the Attic. And then there's a tiny role, and she's even in the trailer by Megan Mullally from Will and Grace. So how about that?
I did not realize that.
Yeah, neither did I. Music by John Duprez, who did Fish Called Wanda. Cinematography by Adam Greenberg. And really, I mean, amazing resume this guy has. Terminator, Terminator 2, Ghost, Rush Hour. And in 85, he also did Private Resort, which I'm really hoping we're going to check that one out. That looks like a lot of fun and also terrible. And a movie called War and Love, which I don't remember. I know it's on the list, but I don't remember that one. And then it was edited by Mark Grossman, who did Wild Orchid, and also Tough Turf from 1985, the James Spader movie, which I'm also hoping we'll get to. So yeah, Once Bitten came out, interestingly, Craig. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got a horror movie. When do you think you'd put this movie out?
Well, generally I would put it out around Halloween.
Okay, but what about, let's say, like 2 weeks after Halloween? How did that sit with you?
I'd rather not, but okay.
Yeah, it came out November 15th. It was budgeted at $3.2 million. It grossed about $10 million. So that was good for 84th on the list in 85. Not a ton of critic love. Janet Maslin, however, said it has a lot more stylishness than wit. So that's kind of like a backhanded compliment, I guess.
Sounds like it.
Interesting, kind of like funny afterwards story. By the time the movie was out, apparently the writer, Jeffrey House, he supposedly has blown through his initial earnings and had to take a job working in a video store. And then apparently one day after the movie was released on video, a customer came in bringing it back and said whoever wrote this should not be working in Hollywood. So he was able to say, well, you got your wish, buddy. That story reeks of not being true, but I really hope it is. It's on IMDb there, that story. And it looks like Jeffrey House is actually the biggest source of info that I've found. I think he has a blog up, and a lot of this is coming from that. But he also claims that Michael J. Fox was his original choice to star in this movie, and he campaigned for it, for him to do so, but didn't happen. He says that one of the producers, which is Samuel Goldwyn Jr., was convinced that Fox could not carry a big budget movie. And obviously that was a premonition that came true.
Yeah.
And but House said in an article that's from mentalfloss.com that it took like just basically one scene for him to realize that Jim Carrey was great. Said that they had written a bunch of sleazy bar sight gags, but all of that got cut, and basically, like Jim Carrey just had to walk across the location, the set, and look scared, and somehow that made everybody crack up. So obviously he was a fan of the choice afterwards.
Yeah.
The vampiress of this movie is played by Lauren Hutton, of course, but apparently they actually were thinking of Elvira originally, which makes a ton of sense,
Sure. Sure.
Kathleen Turner was apparently rumored to be on the list as well. And this is kind of funny, too, because I was thinking when I watched the trailer that they play a song in the trailer called Once Bitten, which I'm sure is in the movie. It's got to be. And it's just like, that's such an 80s thing, right, to have the title of the movie in the song. Another 80s thing is they said that the studio, James House, wanted to make the film more commercial, so that obviously means you got to put in a montage, right? So there's a montage in it that he said, this film has a terrible one, and the one thing they added, and we'll get to this when we obviously watch the movie, he said, and don't ask me why, was the image of a supermodel walking a lion down Rodeo Drive. Screenwriters that claim they had nothing to do with that image. That does feel like a very producerial note, I guess. Mm-hmm. The movie got criticized a little bit in the 1989 edition of The Celluloid Closet, which is a pretty notable film reference book about, I think, gay and lesbian characters in movies and just the stereotypes that were portrayed, in particular because of the Clavon Little Butler character. And I think a shower scene. So we're not going to spoil everything, but this Jeffrey House guy, the screenwriter, took a lot of heat from this mention in the book and claims that he had nothing to do with it, that was actually a creation of Jonathan Roberts, the guy that wrote Lion King, who did a pass on it. So, I don't know, maybe these guys have to fight it out. We'll see. And then lastly, the movie was retitled in a couple different countries, and I thought some of these were kind of funny. The translations are, in France, Seduction Has Teeth. Also, it's got France twice. I don't know if there's. I don't know why that would be the case. Maybe for video. Vampires Forever, which I liked. Brazil, Virgin Boy Wanted, which plays a little bit into the synopsis. And Argentina, I Love a Vampire, which seems kind of lame. Hungary, Just One Bite, so they're getting close. And then Poland, this is the most interesting one. Poland here apparently called it Kiss Princess. Kiss Princess.
Poland, both with its titles and its posters, are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You should definitely search out Poland movie posters because, man, some of them are amazing.
Well, I will see if I can find one for Kiss Princess, and we'll put that up.
I will frame it and put it on my wall.
But that's Once Bitten, man. So I will point to the microphone at you, and would love to hear what you dug up on Fright Night.
You have to have faith for that to work, Mr. Vincent.
So Fright Night is a movie.
It is.
A filmed entertainment that also deals with vampires. It has a fantastic poster, and I'm not sure who drew it, but it's great.
It's the best.
But now let's get into things I actually do know about. So Fright Night 1985, of course. It was released on August 2nd, 1985, so it was kind of in the summer.
That's good, though. You're getting back to school, and, you're right there in front of fall and Halloween, so it's not too bad.
Well, and that's the thing, too. Both of these are, to some degree, horror comedies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Fright Night tends more toward actual horror, and Once Bitten tends more toward comedy. Like,
for sure.
Once Bitten is sort of making fun of vampires, and Fright Night is just sort of horrifying comedy. I don't know. So directed by Tom Holland, who, among other things, directed a episode of Amazing Stories, a bunch of stuff of Tales from the Crypt. Movie-wise, he wrote and directed Child's Play.
Nice.
He gave us Chucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he also wrote Psycho 2 and Cloak and Dagger.
Wow.
If you're fans of either one, that's kind of a big deal. I think both of those are pretty neat movies, and I remember watching both of those as a kid and being disturbed by both of them very much.
Explains a lot. Explains a lot.
Yeah, but so Tom Holland wrote and directed this. He had obviously been very successful with the stuff he wrote, and Columbia decided they'd give him a shot, and they just gave him a little bit of money. Didn't expect much, and it became it grossed $24 million.
Nice.
I think the budget was around $2 million or something.
Solid
or
return.
no, $7 million. But yeah. I mean, it was it's it's definitely a movie that's all shot on a back lot pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But man, they sure make the most of it. There's no doubt about that. And we've got so many great people in this. You've got Chris Sarandon, who maybe, I don't know, all the millennials listening only know him maybe as the voice of Jack Skellington, if their parents still have that VHS laying around.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Sarandon, William Ragsdale plays Charlie Brewster, the main character. Roddy McDowell plays Peter Vincent, who is a horror TV host back when they used to have horror hosts on TV.
Yeah.
Who Charlie Brewster asked to help him kill the vampires next door, essentially. Amanda Bierce, who's the next door neighbor from Married with Children, plays
no kidding.
Charlie Brewster's girlfriend. Yeah, it's so startling. Like, I don't think of her as anything but Marcy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I didn't realize that. Gosh, that has been a while. That's amazing. I love that. I'm so more excited now.
Yeah, and she is great. And Stephen Jeffries, who, if you don't recognize the name, as soon as you see him or hear his voice, you'll remember this guy from something that you saw in the 80s. He plays Charlie Brewster's friend. There is no one like him at all. That's all I can say really about it. There's no other way to really describe his vibe. But he plays Evil Ed in this movie. And he's a big part of what makes Fright Night, as you'll see eventually. But so they made the movie. It became a big hit. During the movie, so here's a few things to look out for. Anytime someone's wearing contact lenses, they are in extreme discomfort.
Yes.
Because these were not state-of-the-art things. They were sort of thrown together, apparently,
They weren't
by the makeup
Balshamon.
department and then buffed smooth. They're just like hard pieces of plastic.
Yeah.
But there's a bit where Amanda Bierce has to wear them in a scene, and she was so uncomfortable. She was trying to get through it, but she couldn't do it. And then they realized they had not buffed down the glitter that they put on the thing.
Gosh.
So she just put glitter in her eyeballs.
I'm crying right now.
Oh
thinking
man,
about it.
yeah, that's rough. And then William Ragsdale, at some point during filming, broke his ankle running down some stairs. So for many scenes in the movie, he's got a cast on that they're just trying to sell as his pants leg and shoe. And as someone who's seen Fright Night a number of times, I never noticed anything was off.
Ooh, okay.
With this
So we have a
guy's-
mission this time
Yeah.
watching it. See if
Like
we
he's
can find
wearing
his
a
cast.
full cast. Yeah. And I've never noticed it. Another interesting thing to throw out here, our editor, Kent Beta, I believe is his name, Beyda,
Okay.
Kent Beta, got his start editing. He edited the comedy horror Saturday the 14th.
I remember that.
And apparently from that, he edited Get Crazy in 1983.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
He went from Get Crazy to Spinal Tap,
Jesus.
and then Fright Night was his fourth movie.
That's a pretty impressive trio right there. And I mean, I haven't seen Saturday the 14th in forever, but I distinctly remember that VHS box. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I know I rented it. It's probably terrible, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and no. I don't know.
We'll have to revisit that.
I remember there being a lot of play on heavy breathing, like a heavy breathing phone call or something. But I don't know. For some reason, I think of it as being weird enough to never kind of go out of style. Okay. Not necessarily hilarious, but definitely weird enough that it kind of wouldn't feel old.
We'll look into it.
Something like that. That's all I'm going to throw at you right now
Okay.
before we actually get into the movie and have more to talk about. But I feel like you've got some good reasons to be watching this.
Yeah. I'm super excited. I think that's certainly enough to tee people up here. Both of these movies are streaming on Hulu right now. I'm sure you can find them elsewhere on disc. I know Once Bitten was put out on Blu-ray in 2015, I read, so that's floating around out there. And yes, we'd love to have you check them out and chime in after we talk about these things.
Absolutely.
Or before. You can chime in before. That's cool, too.
Yeah, during. Just shout it out.
Hey, Craig, I want to say one thing that I think I've
Yes.
always wanted to say my entire life before we
Oh,
leave.
please do.
Thank you, Tokyo.
Yes.
Right? Doesn't that feel nice to say? Apparently, some of you are in Tokyo and you are listening to the show in bigger numbers than either one of us expected or realized until like 5 days ago. So thank you from America.
Yeah. Hey, Tokyo, let us know how we can better serve you.
Yes.
Unless you're just hackers who are sort of routing your hacking through Tokyo or something. I don't really know how the internet works. But if you're legitimately listening in Tokyo, thank you so much.
Yeah. I think you'd have to go into the Matrix to do that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Bye.